Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the third day of Consensus. My name is Rosie Perper, Deputy Managing Editor of the Web3 News section at CoinDesk. So Bored Ape Yacht Club is one of the most successful NFT collections of all time. Now, the company behind it, Yuga Labs, is expanding into the Metaverse through its Otherside platform. Let's take a look. Joining me today is Daniel Alegre, CEO of Yuga Labs. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Rosie. I'm really excited.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. I noticed that you're wearing your mutant ape on your jacket. Tell us a bit about how you decided to adopt that identity in Web3.
It's, it just jumped out at me, and I thought, this is absolutely me. I moved to Dallas about a year and a half ago, so obviously you need to have the cowboy hat. And for whatever reason, this actually stuck with me. And the first thing I did was get it embroidered in this jacket, and now I carry him very happily with me.
I love it. It's important to adopt a Web3 identity as you make the switch. So you recently joined Yuga Labs as CEO. Before this, you were at BMG Music and held various leadership roles at Google. Most recently, you were President and Chief Operating Officer of Activision Blizzard, the publisher behind titles like Call of Duty and World of Warcraft. So what made you make the switch over to Web3?
Well, when I was at Activision Blizzard, obviously we have some iconic brands and franchises. But one of the things that really became clear to me in gaming, one is that influencers really want to participate in the whole creative environment of gaming and be part of the ecosystem. You know, the days where you could launch a branding campaign for a game and that's as far as you went are long gone. Influencers are absolutely critical to the promotion and the amplification of games, and they want to be more than just spokespeople, and they're actually an important component of the ecosystem. And then players as well, they spend tremendous amount of time playing the games, identifying with the games. And we were seeing actually a fair amount of feedback from our player base that they wanted to go beyond that and actually take their identity in the game, port it to other games, and also be part of the overall economy. So I had the great pleasure to meet the founders of Yuga Labs a few months ago, and I talked to them about this issue, that gaming really need to go one step further to involve creators, influencers, and players as part of the community. And we had a tremendous meeting of the minds between Yuga founders and me, and it was clear that this was the right fit for me to bring the evolution of Web3, not only to gaming, but to overall media consumption and entertainment.
Absolutely. And so coming from the gaming space, I know that there still exists some tension between traditional gamers and Web3 gamers. Not everyone's ready to make the jump. So how do we bridge that gap between the two audiences, and what do you think is still missing in the Web3 gaming space?
Sure. Look, in Web 2, many of the traditional, I'll call them the traditional gaming companies, when they hear NFT and they dabble with NFT or Web3, the vision is, well, how can we make more money off of our players? And that could mean, that you're playing a game and then there's a billboard and you say, well, do you want to bid for the billboard? Or we're only going to make a certain number of special swords available, buy these swords. Players see through that, right? They say that's just a way for the gaming companies to make more money off of us. If you think of game and game experiences and game development from Web3 as a ground, architecture up, you can actually really bring the Web 2 players and have them realize, oh, okay, this is what Web 3 does. So for instance, we launched our Dookie Dash game about 2-3 months ago, and what ended up happening, yeah, I'm glad you liked it. What ended up happening is not only did we engage our existing community members who have a great affinity with gaming, but we also brought in Web 2 gamers into the ecosystem, and they got to experience what a Web3 native game could be like. And you probably saw the winner of the Dookie Dash game was a professional Fortnite player. And he came in and actually realized, okay, this is what Web3 can really do to gaming. So I'm not necessarily saying that Web3 is going to replace Web2 gaming, but there are avenues where you can actually bring a Web3 experience into a Web2 game that will elucidate and actually make it so that a Web2 player realizes, oh, all right, this is the benefit, and I'm really excited about it.
Absolutely. And speaking of kind of bringing in more people into the ecosystem, BAYC, Mutant Ape Yacht Club, still among the most popular NFT projects to date across marketplaces. The barrier to entry into the ape ecosystem is still pretty high. The floor price of a Bored Ape is still around 50 Ether. So in what ways is Yuga Labs thinking about making the project more accessible and sort of opening up to a mainstream or a wider audience? Mm-hmm.
So we have a number of different projects that we have in place because we realize, one, at the core, we're excited about our Bored Ape community, Mutant Ape Kennel Club, as well as CryptoPunks and Meebits. But we also want to make sure that we make these experiences much more available to a broader audience. And that's where the video that you saw with Otherside comes in. You know, having a true innovative, I'll call it a metaverse platform, where players can come in, whether you're community holders or deeds holders, and be able to participate into these new experiences is phase one of what we're trying to do to make Web3 much more available to a broader audience. We love our community. It's so passionate. I've had just a tremendous opportunity over the last 2 days here in Austin to meet some of our hardcore community members, and their passion is exceptional. But I also realize that Web3 is still very hard. It's hard to participate. It's not as broadly adopted as I think it can be. And what I'm going to bring to Yuga is to ensure that we actually make it so that many more people can participate in a number of different ways. And Otherside is definitely a platform where we're going to embrace that.
I would love to pivot to the other side.
Sure.
I spoke to the founders, Wiley and Greg, last year, and they called the other side the intersection of sort of everything that they've built over the years. So as the new CEO, what does this mean to you, and how are you planning to, build out the other side and shift Yuga's focus into Web3 gaming? Yeah,
well, Otherside really is our big bet for Web3. It's the next taking the interactions to the next level. And you may have seen, we just announced earlier this morning that we hired Mike Sievers as a new Chief Technology Officer of Yuga Labs. He was CTO of Riot Games and Epic, and he's going to be a phenomenal addition. All right, you like it. So it's clear that we have to make a very significant big bet from a technology and technology investment perspective. Obviously, our community and our storytelling is at the core of what we do. The experiences are important. Gaming is a new avenue that we're trying to not only engage our community, but bring new community members into the fold, but leveraging what Otherside can really do as a truly open platform, and bringing new developers, new community members onto it is an absolute big bet. And what I want Yuga to be is really the front door to Web3. So as we know, this innovation and the transformation that's going to happen, it's happening obviously in art, it's happening in digital consumption, and obviously in gaming, but it's going to expand into so many different areas of industry. Otherside is that entryway into Web3.
And looking back on the last 2 years, Yuga has expanded significantly with Meebits and with CryptoPunks, 10KTF. It seems like the strategy has sort of shifted into hyperdrive to become the biggest company now in Web3. Focusing on the other side, as you become larger and start to embrace more of your IP brands, how are you thinking about staying true to what Yuga was when it first started, and sort of that degen those degen roots?
Yeah, this has come up a number of times that when people refer to me, they say, "Oh, you've got the adult in the room," and sure, I guess I'm more adult than the founders, but I am just absolutely passionate about creativity and innovation, and we know that we absolutely have to stay true to that innovation engine that the founders originally started with Bored Ape, and that we're making sure that CryptoPunks and MeBits continues to have that. We are at the core a great storytelling company that engages content creators and community. And those are the things that are at the core foundational to our culture, foundational to the kinds of people that we're bringing into the company. And you say that our aspiration is to be the biggest in the space. That's not the way I'm looking at it. The way I'm looking at it is just ensure that we have epic entertainment, epic experiences on our platforms, and also embrace third parties who can actually follow with the vision that we have and bring them onto this platform. This is not a winner-take-all environment. This is a true transformation that is happening across the entertainment industry, and as I said, and is happening in other areas as well, but I'm focused on media and entertainment. For us, my mission is to make Web3 as easily available and bring great content creators and the economy together in a way that we just keep investing on it, and the experiences, if they're excellent, users will follow.
Absolutely. And you sort of touched on this idea of interoperability and making sure that it's accessible and bringing in creators. This is maybe a little bit of a philosophical question, but when you think about the metaverse going forward, do you think about it as this one platform, or do you think about it as experiences that sort of work together? How do you see the metaverse?
Yeah, well, first, there's been a number of questions about this. What is the metaverse? And Facebook and Disney have had their issues with their investments in the space, and some are pushing back. The reality is the metaverse is not new. One of the games that I worked on, World of Warcraft, for all intents and purposes, is a metaverse. But what Web3 is enabling is not only new interaction and ways for players to find communities that go beyond necessarily the game itself. So like World of Warcraft is a closed environment with guilds within World of Warcraft. Well, imagine a world where you can actually go from that experience and move on to another game and bring your persona to it, and actually bring communities together in a way that's actually much more vibrant and much more connected. And that's how I see this new iteration of the metaverse, which is really breaking down barriers and walls and ensuring that communities all over can participate. So to answer your question specifically, I want an environment where there are multiple platforms and multiple areas of innovation, so long as there's interoperability and you can play in one game and enjoy the great things that are happening here, and then move over to the other side and participate in another side and enjoy what that brings to you. For us, if innovation is continued here, again, the best experiences are going to bring the best communities. And it's all about community building and community interaction. That's what gaming has really become. That's the reason why I joined Activision Blizzard, because I knew that gaming was going to be the next frontier of community building. Web3 is that next frontier of global communities, not only in gaming, but across in many areas of social connections.
Yeah, and speaking of community, I know that the Bored Ape community is among one of the most passionate and excitable communities. There are all of these different projects using the Bored Ape IP, water, food trucks. What do you think really resonates with holders about this project, and how has it still maintained this momentum over the years?
I think one, because at the core, it has stayed true to the story and the kernels of what Bored Ape was all about. And second, the community is very united. They share the mission that we have at Yuga Labs. I see it every time I run into a Bored Ape member. And they're also extraordinarily creative in how they use their assets. So just last night, I had a Bored Ape holder came up to me from Calgary, from Canada, and he said, "Here, let me show you what I'm doing with my Bored Ape. I've got a restaurant, and these are the beers that I'm using, and I'm using this ape for this and this ape for that." And then just a couple of hours ago, this other fellow came up to me and said, "Hey, let me show you what I've done with my Bored Ape," and has a coffee business, and he actually had his Bored Ape as the coffee logo. So to have the community be able to not only be part of this incredibly passionate group, but to also amplify the voice of it and get great economic benefits and personal identity and commercialization of their own asset is something that is truly unique. And by the way, it applies to Bored Ape, it applies to CryptoPunks, it applies to Meebits. What they've been able to do and how they've stayed connected to those projects is astounding. And also, just for me as CEO of Yuga Labs, it's really inspirational.
Absolutely. And pivoting over to brand partnerships, Yuga Labs recently signed a multi-year partnership with Gucci, and you've announced a physical jewelry collection linked to Codas. So how is Yuga Labs thinking about brand partnerships going forward? Anything in the works?
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Done.
So what I'd say is, we're in a situation right now in Web3 similar to the transition from internet to mobile, where large brands and large companies everywhere are kind of trying to figure out, so what am I supposed to do? They realize that the community that is deep into Web3 is, one, financially very lucrative, but also has an affinity to their brands and want to participate in the creation, the connection with the brands. And one of the things that I have as a mission for us is obviously bringing creators over to the other side platform, but the other one is how do we enable brands to be able to connect with communities. So the partnership that we have with Gucci is one of those examples where we're embedding the storytelling through our 10KTF team of how Gucci and other side can interact, and you're going to be seeing more and more of those kinds of activations. Obviously, we want to stay true to our community and bring value to the community, but at the same time, as part of our promotion of what Web3 can do, I see it as our mission to also help brands harness the power of Web3, what Web3 can do to them, and in the end, it creates a much better experience overall.
Absolutely. And as we start to wind down, my question that I always have, Yuga was recently valued at $4 billion. I'm sure that's changed and probably grown. Acquiring all of these different brands over the last year, what is the Yuga Labs secret sauce, or sort of the key to its success? How has it still maintained this momentum?
Well, I've been CEO for 3 weeks, and I'm still trying to find what that secret sauce is. But I'll tell you first, the vision that the founders had and the execution the founders had has been exceptional. And when you talk to them, it actually reminds me a lot of the early days when I joined Google with Larry Page and Sergey Brin. They have a laser focus on what has made the company great, and they stay true to it. And there's a number of circumstances where you can say, well, we could actually make much more money if, but that's not the plan. The plan is that if we continue to invest in content creation and community building, everything else will follow. And the founders have that as a core culture for Yuga Labs. I'm committed to it because I recognize that is what can bring longer term value for the business. And you can expect a lot more crazy things like the things that you saw there, or the Dookie Dash, or the other experiences coming from us. We're not a traditional company, I'll tell you that. As I said, even though I'm the grown-up in the room, I'm also not a traditional CEO. And the quirkiness that has made Yuga Labs as interesting and as a hotbed of true content creation and innovation, that will continue.
Excellent. Daniel Alegre, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Rosie. Thanks.